super fights of the month, February 23rd. It'll be James Hard Rock Green against Mike McCallum, two world-ranked fighters. Top-weighted junior middleweight action coming up next month, February 23rd, to be precise, right here on Super Fights. Hope you can join us again. Let's go right back to Dick Landis. Dick?
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Every month on Super Fights, we have a feature from Ring Magazine. It's always interesting, to say the least. Tonight, Bert Sugar has some words of wisdom, always talking on the telephone, and Randy Gordon looks into the crystal ball.
This is my weekly call. What is this, a fix? I got a weekly call from you bitching and moaning about boxing's problems. That's wonderful. He hasn't got any problem. As long as Bob Arum can keep an armada of boat people from Korea off the shores and run one a weekend to fight for another championship. No, that's great. One championship, one Korean. That's great. That's what we need. Tony Ayala, great. His theme song, Sukasa es mi casa. All of that's nothing compared to what the New York Times did, though. Yeah, they ran that editorial on the AMA. That's wonderful. Here it is. Ready? AMA's to ban boxing. Had nothing to do with the story. It's one doctor in one publication having a nervous breakdown on paper. He probably was upset. Couldn't find a cure for the common cold. All right, look. I want you to get back to me. Say goodnight, Gracie. I got to get back to work. This is wonderful. Yeah, Joey Curtis. There's a referee who, if he'd been refereeing the Snipes-Holmes fight, Snipes would today be heavyweight champion of the world. All right, can I get back to work? Call Bob Arum. Send him my love, but speak it in Korean. Okay? Goodbye.
And that's why I thought that boxing in 1982 was one of the best years this sport has had in quite a long time. Okay, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much. Boxing ended on a big note in December, then took a breather in January, now is ready to come out smoking once again, and it's going to start right here on Super Fights with a heck of a heavyweight brawl between Scott Frank out of Oakland, New Jersey, unbeaten in 19 fights, against Brockton, Massachusetts' Steve Zouski. Brockton, Massachusetts, the home of former heavyweight king Rocky Marciano. It's going to be a heck of a fight. I spoke to heavyweight champ Larry Holmes the other day. He said 1983 will be his last year in boxing. He said he'd like to go out with a fight against a relatively unknown heavyweight. Wouldn't it be something to see perhaps Scott Frank become that relatively unknown heavyweight, become the Rocky, the real-life Rocky, and Larry Holmes, the Apollo Creed? This weekend there's going to be 3 fights of major importance. 2 of those fights are going to happen in Atlantic City. Both of them will be title fights. In one of those championship fights, junior middleweight champion Davey Moore out of New York puts his title on the line against hard-punching Gary Guyton of Indianapolis, Indiana. Gary Guyton used to be a middleweight. He lost his last fight as a middleweight against Curtis Parker in 1979, suffered a broken jaw in the fight. After that, he said, no more 160-pounders for me. It's down to the 154-pound limit. Since then, he's fought 10 times, won them all by way of knockout. And while many people say he has a puncher's chance, and I've got to agree with that, I just like Davey Moore as a champion. He's tough. He feels like a champion. He acts like a champion. And in the ring, he fights like a champion. I got to look for Davey Moore to knock out Guyton within 6 rounds. Right down the boardwalk on the same day, the World Bantamweight Championship between Jolton Jeff Chandler, the undefeated champ, against hard-punching Gabby Canizales, who happens to be a product of Super Fights. And right here on Super Fights, in his last bout, Canizales destroyed the veteran Franco Torregoza. And before that, on Super Fights, he fought for the USBA Bantamweight Championship against once beaten, very talented Diego Rosario. And once again, Canizales destroyed his opponent. Most of the boxing world says Chandler is in great shape, and I know he is. Most of the boxing world says Chandler will win the fight. I don't agree with that. I say that Canizales is too strong, too willing, too determined, and has too much stamina. He's going to wear out Jeff Chandler somewhere around the 12th or 13th round, knock him out, and become the World Bantamweight Champion. On the other side of the country, I think a rather sad fight between 2 former world champions. Roberto Duran, 32 years old, and 25-year-old Pepino Cuevas. I think he's an old 25. This fight should have taken place 2 years ago, not now. Most of the boxing community likes Duran in this fight. I don't. I think Cuevas will build up an early lead, pummel Duran, and win a decision in a fight that's meaningless for both fighters. It is going to be a super weekend with the Super Bowl coming up, these 3 super fights, and of course the super fight you'll be watching in just a little while. From the offices of Ring Magazine and Boxing Illustrated, I'm Randy Gordon.
Right-hand man. He happens to be president of the
United States Boxing Association.
Back here at Ice World in Totowa, you're looking at Lou Duva leading out his man, Scott Frank, returning to Ice World where he first won the New Jersey State Heavyweight Championship. Scott Frank, undefeated, 19 professional bouts, 18-0-1, 14 by knockout, rated number 15 by the WBC out of nearby Oakland, New Jersey. And you will hear it as soon as Mr. Frank is visible to the capacity crowd. Well, to the strains of Star Wars, New Jerseyite Scott Frank making his way toward this big crowd here at Ice World, where they love their boxing here in New Jersey. And this has all the earmarks of a super fight on Super Fights of the Month. So Lou Duva clearing the path for Scott Frank. Here he comes. Right here in Totowa, where Frank beat Chuck Wepner, a bloody 12-round decision back in 1978. Frank's 5th professional fight. Got on to bigger and better things. He's defended 3 times. With that, let's go over to Dick Landis again.
Okay, Steve and Arthur, we want to clarify a point. You heard Randy Gordon's report, and he talked about the Canizales-Chandler fight. Now, that fight is off because Chandler is sick. I talked with Dr. Mendoza today by phone in Texas, and he's rather dubious about this whole thing. He says, I don't believe Chandler is sick. I think it is a ploy. I think they're trying to force us to break the contract. I don't really believe that Chandler could be sick. In turn, I talked with K.O. Becky, the manager of Jeff Chandler, today in Philly by phone. And she said, hey, he's sick. What can I tell you? And K.O. means what she says. And she says that they will fight. They will definitely fight on March 13th against Canizales. But she said you can tell the people in Texas they don't have anything to worry about until it's time to fight. So we wanted to clarify that. Now, 2 big heavyweights, Scott Frank, Steve Zouski. 2 big heavyweights, 2 hitters. Each has 14 knockouts. They are tough. This is going to be a wild heavyweight affair. And may the nastiest fighter win.
All right, Dick Landis, Scott Frank.
Fighting a real tough guy, Steve Zouski. He comes to fight. He's strong. He's going to give me a good fight, so that's why I trained extra hard for this fight and got in real good shape. I expect it to be a war out there from round 1 to however it goes. Hopefully, I'll throw enough punches. It won't go that long, but it's going to be a good fight.
Well, it's a big step for me because right now he's undefeated, and he's had that draw with Snipes, who is in the top 10 he's been there for quite a while. So a win like this will really put me up into the standings. More people will know the name Steve Zouski, and I'll be able to get better fights, better money. It'll be better everything for me.
To the tail of the tape from a soft-spoken Steve Zouski. 1-inch height advantage for Frank. He's got the weight advantage by 7 pounds and a 1-inch reach advantage. Scott Frank. And the records in the ring, both, as Dick Landis pointed out, with 14 knockouts. Scott Frank undefeated in 19 pro fights. Zouski with an impressive mark of 22-4. Zouski 2 years older and just about the same experience. Ed Darien with the introductions in the ring. Ed?
Ladies and gentlemen, this next bout is scheduled for 10 rounds, and it's in the heavyweight division. Once again, the 3 scoring judges, Harold Letterman, Charles Spina, and Paul Cavalier. The timekeeper to bell is Roosevelt Gilbert, counting for the knockdown seconds, alternate referee Joe Cortez. In the ring at this time, the man in charge of the scheduled 10-round heavyweight bout, but will not do the scoring, referee Paul Venti. And now, boxing fans, introducing the principals. First, in the red corner, wearing the all-red trunks, he is weighing in at an even 205 pounds. This gentleman has a record of 22 wins, 4 losses with 14 knockouts. All the way from Brockton, Massachusetts, ladies and gentlemen, here is Steve Zouski. And his opponent in the blue corner, wearing the white trunks with the black trim, he is tipping the scales at an even 212 pounds. This young man has 18 wins, 1 draw with 14 knockouts. He is presently the New Jersey State Heavyweight Champion from Oakland, New Jersey. Boxing fans, here is Scott Frank.
I want you boys to listen to my commands. As long as you're punching, I'll leave you alone. But if you hold or you tie each other up, I'm going to ask for a break, and I want a clean break. But protect yourself at all times. Don't get hit coming out of a clinch. In case there's a knockdown, whoever scores the knockdown has to go to the suture corner, and I want him to remain there until I tell him to come out. Shake hands now, come out fighting, good luck to both of you.
All right, the final words from referee Paul Venti. This is our main event here on Super Fights from Ice World in Totowa. There's Steve Zouski, 22-4, and Scott Frank, undefeated at 18-0-1, the New Jersey heavyweight champion. We're ready to go, scheduled for 10.
I was going to say that Scott Frank had his tights or trunks a little too high, and the first thing that Paul Venti did, as a good referee, he pulled his trunks down below the belly button line.
All right, Scott Frank, an all-out banger, stronger now. He feels that heavyweights don't reach their prime until about 27, so he's got 3 years till then. And Zouski, who likes to fight out of a crouch, a very busy fighter, likes to put his combinations together, has a good right-hand counter punch, and can adapt to just about anything. So this should be an interesting affair.
Steve, we've done most of Scott Frank's fight. I've noticed something immediately. He's very composed. He looks very, very cocksure. And the fact that he's been fighting almost every month is the thing that makes a fighter great. You've got to keep busy.
He's got a wicked right hand, and he also has the ability to take a punch. He's a tough cookie, Scott Frank, in the white trunks with the black trim. Steve Zouski, the redhead, in the red trunks. He was born in Wisconsin, resides in Brockton, Massachusetts, the home of former heavyweight champ Rocky Marciano.
And Arthur Mercanti.
I was just going to say that. You beat me to the punch. Of course, the man in the red trunks, Steve Zouski, is handled by the Petronellis, the same brother combination that handled world middleweight champion Marvelous Marvin Hagler. That is the hometown of Hagler as well. So Brockton, Mass.
And I had an uncle who was a very good heavyweight. He fought Schmeling in Braddock. His name is Joe Monte, one of the original heavyweights in 1930. He fought Schmeling in Madison Square Garden.
Brockton producing a plethora of fighters. So right now, they're kind of feeling each other out. A couple of left hooks by Scott Frank to the side of Zouski's head. Here's that lunging left jab by Frank that really didn't have any impact. Staring each other down.
Steve Zouski has been KO'd by the son of Joe Frazier, Marvis Frazier, and also Tony Tubbs. And the way Scott Frank hits, if he hits, of course, Steve with one of those powerful rights or lefts, he could go.
Zouski learned how to box while in the Marines. He's married with 3 kids. Scott Frank is the hometown favorite from Oakland, New Jersey.
Scott looks awesome tonight. He looks bigger. Maybe it's because Steve has a way of crouching down, and Scott stands up straight, but he does look much bigger.
Frank at 6'2", 212. Zouski 6'1", 205.
There's only one thing that Scott Frank is doing, which I just observed. You can see his mouthpiece. He's not tired. He's not biting down on it. If he gets a good left hook, he can have his jaw broken.
A right hook to the body by Zouski, but warded off by Scott Frank. Now a combination by Frank to the head of Zouski, but doesn't seem to be affecting Zouski. With 10 seconds and counting here in round number 1. We're scheduled for 10. These 2 heavyweights, Scott Frank in the way. Well, we asked the managers their thoughts and feelings about this match. Let's get their views. First, Lou Duva of Frank's corner.
And first of all, as far as Steve Zouski is concerned, he comes from a good stable. He comes from Marvin Hagler's stable with the Petronellis. I look for a real tough fight. I seen him fight Marvis Frazier, and it was a toe-to-toe war until he got cut. I feel that he shouldn't have been stopped in that fight. It was at the last couple seconds of the fight. It was anybody's fight at that point. With Scott and Zouski, I look for an absolute war. You got 2 billy goats out there. They only know one way, straight ahead and punch. And I think it's a 5 hands fight.
Well, Scotty's undefeated, and he's a kid, up and coming kid.
And Steve's been working hard and training hard. He's boxing some good sparring partner, and he's ready. It's a good step for both of them. Steve, we take one at a time, and Steve gets by him, he comes to better things, and same thing with Scott. So it's an important fight for both these guys, you know.
Round 2 scheduled for 10. That was the voice of Tony Petronelli. Goody and Pat are on assignment with Marvelous Marvin Hagler right now, getting him revved up, and Tony is the son of Pat.
Steve Zouski seems to be very flabby on the inside. He doesn't look like he has much of an abdominal muscular wall, and that's very, very important in boxing, is to have really an iron board kind of a stomach so you can take those solar plexus blows. He's very, very, if you'll notice, soft on the inside. Maybe his muscles are maybe deep and interiorly. I don't know.
Well, Scott Frank looking very, very confident. His last fight, December 22nd, a 10-round decision over Mike Jamison in Lake Tahoe. Previous fight, he knocked out Mark Lee in the 4th round. 3 fights ago, he fought Ronaldo Snipes to a draw. That was March 21st in Atlantic City. Snipes was rated 6th by the WBC and had floored Larry Holmes before losing in the 11th. But a year went by between the Snipes fight and the Lee fight, so some inactivity there.
The pace is a little slow right now, but I'm quite sure Lou Duval is right. This could turn out to be quite a war because Steve is a very, very tough guy.
Well, it seems to be heating up. We're in round 2, scheduled for 10. Early in his career, the rap on Frank was that he didn't like to train, but he says it was because of a hand injury he wanted arrested. Here's a wild miss by Zouski. Good bobbing and weaving move by Frank, and Frank working inside with some short, crisp uppercuts.
Now, Steve knows that he has to stay on the inside. He's more effective on the inside. If he stays at long range, you can see that Scott keeps coming in at him, and Steve has to go on the inside.
Under a minute remaining in round 2. So I detect a little blood from the nose of Scott Frank. Right nostril.
I tell you, it could very well be from a little head action because you can see that Steve's head is always under the chin or under the face of Scott Frank.
Frank Wazowski against the rope. Now they twirl around. Now the blood more evident out of the right nostril of Scott Frank in the white trunk. The left hook by Zowski didn't make contact. Frank able to pick it off. Right up above us now, it is Frank looking to unload on Zowski, but Zowski covering up. And Zowski looking to fight his way out of the ropes. Left jabs by Zowski, kind of glancing blows off Frank's nose.
All right, now a bloody nose, of course, doesn't mean very, very much. They can fix that right up.
Heading for the bell. Let's listen in on the corner of Scott Frank.
Let me get the head feel. Yeah, your bloody nose. Okay? How do you feel? Okay, now the only thing you're doing, Scott, is you're punching on top again. Let me see you start punching underneath like I told you. All right? Let me see you start punching underneath.
Slip his jab and hit him with that hook here. Okay, be a little cute. Let him jab. Hit him with that hook here. Bring it up. Come on. Take over. You're waiting a little too long. And then when you throw the jab, you move. Then double it. Double on the jab. Here. Then look for that hook here. Right? Double hook.
A lot of pounding going on in round number 2.
Yeah, there's that head action I just showed you. Of course, Scott's just a little taller, and he got his. I believe that there was a head-to-nose contact that made Scott bleed at the nose.
Round 3 scheduled for 10.
Lou Duva in his instructions to Scott Frank was right. Scott is going to the head. And as we said earlier, he should be going to the body because Lou Duva noticed that also, that Steve has a weak body inside.
Yeah, he said, like I told you, Scott, punch underneath, not on top. He said, you're waiting too long. Super fights of the month here. This is our main event, round 3 scheduled for 10. A battle of heavyweights. Left jabs by Steve Zowski in the red. Not that effective, though. Frank moving in now on Zowski. Shots to the body by Zouski, but Frank is covering up. Comes back with a swift combination.
It doesn't seem to me that Scott really has that much power. It doesn't seem to bother Scott Frank at all. He keeps coming back.
Frank looking pretty spry, quick.
No, I'm very impressed with Scott Frank tonight. He's a very excitable fighter, but he seems to have lost that exciting quality. He's not saying that he's not exciting. He is, but he's calmed down.
Interesting note about training for Jerry Cooney. WBC heavyweight King Larry Holmes was asked if he'd retire if successful. Holmes said, "I'd like to have one last fight in my hometown of Easton, PA, and I'd like to make it against a credible, exciting fighter, a guy like Scott Frank."
And I would tell you, I heard that myself from Larry Holmes. I was in New Orleans to do a championship fight, and I was on the elevator with him, and he said he would like to take a new, unknown kid like Scott Frank because he thinks he's a great fighter.
Well, that is indeed a page right out of Rocky. But, of course, Frank has a little obstacle here first by the name of Steve Zouski.
Now, Steve Zouski is fighting him absolutely right by crowding him and staying inside. If he stays on the outside, he's going to get hurt. Scott just asked him to come on in. That's the old Muhammad Ali signal. There's a lot of action inside, Steve. A lot of damage is being done to both fighters.
Now Zouski looking to move in on Frank right up above us again. A wild right by Zouski. Glancing blow to the head of Frank. Frank punching his way right out of it. Left jabs by Zouski, but he doesn't follow up with a right.
It seems to me that Zouski is throwing an awful lot of leather, and he's also getting very tired. He's not pacing himself properly.
He is known as a very, very busy fighter. 10 seconds and counting. And Frank looking to unload here in the final seconds of round 3. Well, we asked Lou Duva about Frank's career, which may very well be paralleling the career of Sylvester Stallone and Rocky. Someday he might get a fight with the WBC champ Larry Holmes. Here's how Lou reacted to that.
I look for him and Larry Holmes before the end of the year. The reason I'm really emphatic about that is because I've talked to Larry Holmes, I've talked to Don King, and believe it or not, Larry Holmes is going to be ending his career. And I think he wants to end it on a rocky note. And there's no greater fight in this end than Scott Frank, a kid off the street, a Rocky theme with a Larry Holmes. And let me tell you something. If that comes off, and I think it's going to come off with another win or two, you're going to see one of the greatest fights in history over there. Larry Holmes is going to know he's in the fight.
Within arm's length of us here at ringside. Here's the action above us.
Yeah, there it is in the corner, and that's where Scott Frank really wants his opponent, in that corner. That's where he's most powerful.
Round 4 scheduled for 10. Our main event, a battle of heavyweights. Scott Frank in the white, Steve Zouski in the red. And I'll tell you, Frank really believes he can knock off the champion, Larry Holmes.
Well, we seem to keep talking about Larry Holmes, but he's got to get through with this fight first.
No question about it. And Steve Zouski would like to stand in Scott Frank's way. Zouski is like a fire plug.
Oh, I tell you, Scott is really powerful now. He just beckoned him to come on in. He's going to unload now.
You get that feeling early seconds of round 4 that Scott Frank would really like to get something going here. Zouski looking a little weary. He threw a lot of punches in that last round. It might be having a negative effect on him.
Zouski is retreating to the corner. He looks a little tired. I think it's the beginning, of course, of a probable defeat for Zouski.
These are happy surroundings for Scott Frank. His first trip back to Ice World since '78 when he won the New Jersey State Heavyweight Champ. He's defended the title 3 times. Right now he's got his back against the corner and he is battling his way into the kitchen of Steve Zouski and the face.
What I like about both these fighters, if you will notice, there's no clinching. They continually throw punches. The referee has virtually no work to do at all in this fight.
Paul Venti circling away from the two. Keeping a sharp eye on Steve Zouski in the red, Scott Frank in the white. You look at Lou Duva, the manager of Scott Frank, lower left-hand corner, looking on very intently. Ooh, a sharp left hook by Frank to the face of Zouski, and that hurt.
Scott has a way, well, that was very low, he hit him low, but Scott has a way of pushing you away with his elbow and then hitting you with the left hook. Now you watch that happen. He pushes him away with the left and then hooks him with the left. There it is right there.
It was a blistering left hook by Frank, a short, crisp left hook.
And now he hit him low with the same punch.
And Paul Benny sees exactly what you just said. He just cautioned Scott Frank for the low blow. A wild right by Zouski going nowhere. A left, but Frank covering up. 25 seconds left in the fourth. So it is getting interesting. A straight right by Frank. Flush on the face of Zouski.
Zouski can take it, there's no question about it, because Scott is very sharp tonight.
That was a nose flattener issued by Scott Frank. Final seconds of round 4. So Zouski's got to be very, very concerned. His trainer, Tony Petronelli. Let's listen in.
How you feeling? Nice bag. Yep. Right. I don't want to back you up, okay? When he backs you up, he'll catch a couple shots. Stay on. You get on tired now, all right? Go to your snap and speed, all right? Stay with him. Double them hooks, bring him up. When he bends over, straighten up his look at
Some slow-mo action from round number 4 with Scott Frank in command.
And that's the action now. You can see that Scott Frank has taken over. He's the aggressor, and he's very, very effective with his right hand.
Another angle.
Scott likes to battle, and Steve is making a mistake by staying on the inside with Scott Frank.
Scott Frank really taking the initiative.
You see, Scott has really been around. He uses the elbows to good advantage.
Round 5 scheduled for 10. Did I hear Tony Petronelli tell Steve Zouski he's going to retire this round?
No. I heard what he said. He said that Scott Frank is tiring. You better go get him. Stay on the inside, which I don't see at all.
Well, exactly.
If anyone's tiring, it's Zouski.
He's trying to give him an air of confidence, but it seems to be false. And Frank just looks to pick up where he left off in round 4. Combination by Frank making contact to Zouski's face.
If Frank is tired, which I don't see, it's possibly because he's throwing so much leather.
Now Zouski turning Frank around, looking to unleash, but it's not really getting through. Those punches are not penetrating. Frank is picking them all off.
Yeah, but Scott Frank is making a mistake, Steve, by staying in the corner. He ought to spin him around and get him in the corner and take the advantage. There's a chance for him to do it. Just spin him around, and I'm sure he was taught that.
Now he's trying to just punch his way out, but he can't seem to push Zouski out of the way. There's a wild miss with the left by Frank. Now they get out of there just a little more breathing room, and they go right back.
It seems to me that Scott likes that to be in the corner. And Scott is also guilty of holding with his left hand the back of the head and throwing the right. Now the ref didn't catch that, but that's not right.
Corner to our left. Frank continues to lean against the ropes. Those uppercuts by Zouski are not penetrating. He is covering up Frank. There's a left uppercut by Frank, but Zouski...
That was a vicious left hook that Steve Zouski got, and Steve better back off now and dance a little on the outside or he's going to get hurt.
Steve Zouski is taking a beating. There's a slapping left by Scott Frank that got through to the face of Zouski.
I'll tell you, that Zouski is really one tough guy. He can really take it, but he's hurt. If he doesn't back off and dance out, he's going to be hurt.
There's a quick right by Zouski that's stuck in there to the chin of Scott Frank. And they go right back to that corner. A left uppercut by Frank. That one connected by Zouski to the face of Frank, and Frank able to take some punishment too. A left jab by Frank.
No. There he is. He's hurt now. Steve Zouski's definitely hurt. And he ought to dance away. Could if only give him instructions to dance.
Looking to survive this 5th round, Arthur. 20 seconds and counting. Steve Zouski in the red. looks to be in trouble.
That was another low blow that Scott threw very, very definitely.
Getting a warning from Paul Venti. Final seconds of round 5. There's another caution, that time for the back of the head. Heading for the bell. Lou Duva quickly jumps in. It'll be interesting to see what he says.
He went to the body with this here guy. Come on, Arlen, you go to the body with this guy. Body shot. You got this here? Jab your wing and go to body shot. Now get the hell out of the corners over there, all right? You can hit this guy with any punch coming up. Spin him around, get him in the corner. Use that double right hand. Here. Come on. Don't get his face. Use the ground. Hey, let's go. Good job. Let me see that with that double right hand. Bring it. Come on, give me a break. Come on. Right uppercut.
You all right?
Right hand. All right, he's doing good. Get out the goddamn rope.
But don't make the fight tough for yourself.
Put him in the rope and then right into the body with 2 hands.
Come on, now let's start. Let's start moving it now. Come on. Get that out of Johnny.
They seem pleased, but they don't want Frank to make things too difficult for himself.
I'm sorry to say that it looks like the beginning of the end for Steve Zouski. The referee went over to look at him, is very concerned about him, and even spoke to the doctor. He does look rather tired in that corner. He looks very depressed about this. And he should be.
6 scheduled for 10. First you heard Lou Duva, then Johnny Torrey. Urging on Scott Frank. And now Scott Frank in the white continues to throw out those whippet punches to the face of Steve Zouski again. Now he's backing Zouski to the ropes.
There are many nice things that I can say about Lou Duva, but one thing that he's really known to do is to be a great motivator. He can stimulate his fighters to get out there and give their very, very best.
He's like a college basketball coach.
Yeah, like Bear Bryant, who sadly died.
Yeah, it was. Hold it, says referee Paul Venti.
Scott has been warned many times, but I believe he can lose a point or two. It wouldn't make much difference because he certainly has a very comfortable lead in this fight.
Frank with a little bit of a look of frustration on his face. He's fighting up against the fire plug right here, and Zouski is taking a lot of punishment from Frank.
It's like having a dream sometimes. If you had a dream where you hit someone and he doesn't go down, he just laughs at you, it's the same thing here.
Well, Steve Zouski isn't doing that much laughing, but he would like to get something going against Scott Frank. He looks arm-weary now, Zouski in the red.
Scott's wondering what's going to make this guy go down because he's given his very, very best for his whole fight, and nothing is happening except he is wearing his opponent down.
Well, Frank says that he is a stronger puncher now. He's exhibiting some powerful punches, some on the ferocious side, but Zouski continues to stay on his feet. There's a combination.
He's hurt now.
Yep.
Now, Steve, did you notice that right here? He's got his back to us, but Steve Zouski seems to be hurt.
He took it in the face. Zouski really getting nowhere against Scott Frank.
He's taking an awful lot of punishment. Paul Venti's really looking at Steve Zouski now with great concern, and he should. The corner is dangerous.
And
that's it.
25 seconds left. There's another warning by Paul Venti.
Yeah, he warned him for that pushing with the elbow. He's been doing it throughout the fight.
Right above us is the back of Scott Frank.
Steve Zouski's right above us now, and he's really a very game guy, and he can take it.
His face is very puffy as we head for the bell in round 6.
Steve's going back to the corner now. You can see the kind of a fighter. He's very, very, very tired. But he's giving his best.
Let's listen.
I can't help boxing. Yeah, I'm doing great.
Back this kid up. All right, don't take the play with you. All right. Come on, pull out. Stay with the square. All right. All right, stay with the square.
Yeah.
He's tired too now. All right.
take a look at action from round 6, and this leading to the warning by referee Paul Venti against Scott Frank.
Yeah, well, he was finally caught at it. He does push with the elbow. We said that earlier. And but he has to do that to push him away to get his range. That's why he's doing it. He doesn't mean to do it.
Round number 7.
Steve Zouski's extremely tired. His corner told him, go out and get him. I don't see how that could be. Go out to get him.
All right, Arthur, round 7 scheduled for 10. Zouski looks battered and bruised. You can just see the face all inflamed, puffed up. Scott Frank continues to fling those left jabs, irritating Zouski. Zouski coming back with some left jabs of his own, but not really doing any damage.
Steve Zouski's right side is all black and blue. When he comes around this way, you'll see it. The fans outside there won't be able to see it, but he is all black and blue. He's been taking a lot of body punishment and head punishment.
Mostly to the head, just like that shot, that left hook by Frank that landed cleanly.
There it is right now. We can see it right above us. He's black and blue. Many spots on his back.
Well, Zouski's going to be sleeping on his back because even when his face touches the pillow, it's going to hurt tonight.
Well, I can see Paul Venti looking at him, believe me, and I would be also, because it's a shame to let a fella, can take a continual beating and plastering. Although he keeps coming back, there's no reason to stop the fight at this point in time.
So Scott Frank in total command from the opening bell. We're in round 7. This main event.
He's a punching bag now, and really, Paul should be thinking of stopping this fight very soon, because these are the blows now. Very tough to defend himself.
Step out.
Paul Venti has to unravel the two. Zouski just hanging on right now.
Scott knows it's just a question of time. Scott's just as powerful now as he was at the beginning.
Seems extremely fresh.
This corner action is bad. That's where the referee has to be most careful to get them out of the corner. Now they got themselves out.
Frank seems to be conserving his energy well under a minute remaining in the 7th round.
Watch your head.
And Zouski really getting nowhere. Little blood from the right nostril of Frank, but that's from earlier. Not really having any effect on the fight.
He lost his zip. Zouski lost his zip. There's nothing in those two punches he just threw, really, nothing. He didn't even phase Scott.
Frank able to unload with a tough combination to the face of Zouski. 20 seconds and counting in round 7.
You just notice that beautiful jab that Scott Frank has. He must have been working on that. It's just beautiful the way he snaps it out.
Final seconds, 7th round. Here at Ice World in Konoha, and we go to the bell. Round 7 complete. Good look at Scott Frank.
You got to get off first. You're waiting just a little bit long. Now, move your body.
James Hot Rock Ring. Remember that all important date, Wednesday, February 23. Right back here.
I want you to get off first. Now, come on, you tired? I'd like to get the hell out there and punch. You hear? Let me see your box. Get off that left hand, understand? And move your combinations right after that left hand. Now, come on, now, let's get going. Look at him. This guy's dead. He's looking for a spot. All you have to do, couple of good combinations. Come on.
Positions are over there in Zouski's corner, but they're going to keep it going.
10-round heavyweight bout.
Yeah, the doctor was in the corner looking at Steve Zouski. Paul Venti did the right thing to call him in. And it's really it's going to be the beginning of the end, because he's taken an awful lot of punishment.
Yep. This fight remains alive. Round 8 scheduled for 10. But it looks like just a matter of time for Zouski in the red. But Scott Frank really being admonished in the corner by his manager, Lou Duva.
Well, Lou Duva is right, because he has the man, but Scott just can't seem to get him away, and this is where it can happen in the corners.
And Lou a perfectionist.
I was going to say at the close of the last round, Steve, the only time that Steve Zouski held and clinched was then, and he's starting to clinch more now because he's really beaten.
Well, this is a night that saw light heavyweight David Sears remain undefeated just a little while ago. This is our main event in the 8th round, scheduled for 10. Scott Frank, the New Jersey State heavyweight champ in the white, missing with a left uppercut. Zouski just holding on, looking to finish out the fight.
Yeah, Zouski's kind of lost all of the steam that he had. He's just valiant like most fighters. They just won't say no or give up.
Interesting to note, I saw a quote by Scott Frank. When asked how he compares with Jerry Cooney, we were talking about Larry Holmes, but now on the other side of the ledge of Jerry Cooney, Frank said he throws straight punches as opposed to looping punches. This is Frank. And he says he can take a punch better. Bob Lee, the commissioner, Herbert Cassidy, the physician, and they had a little chat on the side.
Well, I tell you, I do believe that chat was a consultation between Commissioner Lee and Dr. Cassidy and asking that the fight should be stopped. And I believe that it could happen in this next round. It's not right to have this boy take all this punishment.
He continues to get a beating from Scott Frank.
I shouldn't say boy, he's a real man, I'll tell you that.
Fighting with a lot of heart.
I would stop the fight right now if I were the referee. It's pointless now to let it go on. This guy won't quit. He's too brave to quit.
Scott Frank.
Nothing left.
Well, he just continues to dish out the punishment.
He's a punching bag now to Scott Frank.
Apparently, Paul Betty feeling that Zouski can just stay in there. 15 seconds and counting, round 8.
Sometimes it's better that a fighter will get down rather than take all this punishment. Do himself a favor if he gets, knocked out.
Final seconds, round 8.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a no-no. Scott Frank unleashing a left hook after the bell. All right, let's see what's going on over there in the corner. Let's see if this fight continues.
Yeah, pop, inside. 1, 2, come back with a hook. Right? There, yeah, right in and come back with a double up on the hook. He still got good vision, Vince. Put them together, Stu. Put them together.
How you feel?
Tight.
How you feel?
Okay.
You all right?
It's better than your last one.
He's in pretty good shape.
Right, Ski? This guy's getting tired too now. Okay? Stay with this guy. Don't take the play away from him. 1, 2, back with the hook. Hook the boy in him. Put them together. Right?
Remember, fans, 3 more rounds to go. Round number 9.
Some more brutal action from the last round.
Scott Frank, as I said earlier, is just as strong now as he was in the first round. It's very, very unfair to let this fight go on. Even though the doctor was in the ring, I would firmly believe the doctor should have put an end to that fight. Why let him continue to take this punishment?
Zouski not only looks tired and burnt out, but he looks like he's in pain. And maybe you could make out what he said. He actually said, "I'm okay, I feel very relaxed." Well, if that is relaxation, I'd hate to see him when he's uptight.
And his trainer just kept saying, put it together and go get him. But, that's not the kind of advice to give a guy. I'd be first concerned about the fighter and look in his eyes and make a decision. Don't ask a fighter how he feels. A fighter will never tell you that he feels badly because he's too prideful.
Both bangers, both bruisers. But Scott Frank is inflicting most of the damage on Steve Zouski. He's done it right from the start. But he can't lower the boom. He can't polish off Zouski, which has to be a bit on the frustrating side for Scott Frank and the white trot.
Zouski's been just like a punching bag to Scott Frank throughout this fight. And that's what's tiring Scott.
They each have 14 KOs. Scott Frank 18-0-1, while Zouski is 22-4. There's a combination by Frank to the face of Steve Zouski, but Zouski still refuses to go down.
He's He's a stubborn athlete. He was hit below the belt.
Frank protesting, saying, I didn't do it.
Well, it was low. Those kind of fouls really tire a fighter past anything else. With the elbows and underneath.
All right, a right uppercut by Zouski that was followed by a vicious shot by Scott Frank. Good counterpunch by Scott Frank. And Frank looking fresh as a daisy here in round 9.
This Steve reminds me of a 26-mile marathon runner. He's very, very, very tired, but he wants to finish. He won't quit, and he'll give it that last spurt.
And Zouski, despite the outcome, should get a big hand from this capacity crowd here at Ice World. 2,500, close to 3,000.
Despite the fact, Steve, that Scott Frank is a hometown boy here, the fans don't like to see that dirty play. They have booed him on a couple of occasions.
Now Frank looking to open things up, but again, they work inside. 15 seconds and counting here in round.
I don't see how he can take it. He should stop that fight right now, believe me.
Frank airing it out.
I just don't understand it now.
Final seconds of round 9. Now. 9 rounds complete. What a battering Zouski has taken as he sits down once again. Unbelievable.
Very good round for you that time. Very good. Okay? Just keep the pressure on the guy.
Frank now, just Scott Frank knows he hasn't. There's no way out of this for Steve. I probably would have stopped the fight right there at that point because he's taking accumulative punching all the way through this fight, and I kind of think it's going to come to a close, really.
When Zouski sat down, they said, good round.
No, they're going to let it go. It's going to the 10th.
I believe you're right.
Okay, all right.
Here's the ring physician, Dr. Herbert Cassidy, who just took another look. At this point, Arthur, is it this man's decision or the referee?
No, well, it's really... now look what Steve Zouski just did. He just jumped up like those marathon runners at the finish. You asked me a question. Is it his concern? Yes, he's the chief doctor.
Okay, round 10. 10th and final round. Zouski looking to reach back for that final gusto. And he is like that marathon runner looking for that last inch. Trying to hang on. Now he pours in on Scott Frank, again above us.
There's no doubt that Steve Zouski, knowing this is the 10th round, has become adrenalized, but that doesn't mean that he's really completely, fully tired.
Well, he's charged up for the final 3 minutes.
It's too late to start.
He's been a punching bag all night long. Zouski in the red. Frank looking to remain undefeated in this his 20th professional fight.
Well, Frank would have to be knocked out to lose this fight tonight.
And Lou Duva is just going bananas on the side, wanting Frank to go after Zouski. A left hook by Zouski that got into the face of Frank.
And Lou, of course, wants a knockout like most managers. They want a knockout in the ring record books.
And so does Frank.
Right.
And Scott Frank looking for it in that last barrage. But it didn't happen. Zouski continues to stay on his feet.
I really am proud of him and proud of Brockton, Mass. I'll tell you, they're tough guys there in Brockton.
A new blockbuster from Brockton. Although he's going to lose.
He just has nothing left. Those all pitter-patter blows.
Here's Lou Duva in the box. Scott Frank manager. Here comes Frank again.
I'll tell you, he is something. To come back the way he's come back in this last round.
He's covering up for the final seconds under a minute remaining in round 10. And the crowd going wild.
I'll tell you, this is a great fight, and I'm glad to see that it's in a local fight arena where they really deserve a fight like this.
You'll see the big crowd in the background enjoying the action. Look at this exchange. It is frantic as we close down this main event.
Scott Frank is dying, trying desperately
Zouski. Zouski's best round by far, although it's the final round, 10 seconds to go. The crowd just eating it up.
Just fighting on sheer guts. That's what it is. He's got to be commended for this fight, I'll tell you.
And this is it. And they go wild here at Ice World. Many of the capacity crowd standing in salute to these two young men, Scott Frank and Steve Zouski. Although Frank will no doubt chalk up the victory. What a job of courage by Steve Zouski.
Well, I'll tell you, he showed that he has an awful lot of guts. I'll tell you, I still feel, and I said it before, I would be inclined, looking at that corner the way he looked, to stop the fight, not earlier, but maybe in that 9th or 8th round. I just don't remember right now, but this guy's uncanny the way he came back.
I'll tell you one thing, Arthur, Zouski has earned the respect of Scott Frank. You just saw them come together.
Yeah, Scott Frank just couldn't do it, and he's annoyed with himself. But there's a real tough guy, and real proud of him.
Well, in showbiz, they'd call him a trooper. Raises his hand. Here's a good look at Scott Frank.
This was the kind of a fight that, of course, this ice house here in Toto really deserved. These fans deserve it because fighting was out of here for a long time. Now it's back. It's back big.
No question about it. And Steve Zouski won a lot of fans. He should be back here at Ice World, and the fans will remember this young man, 26-year-old Steve Zouski, born in Wisconsin, but resides in Brockton, Massachusetts. And there he is. A gallant effort by Steve Zouski.
Well, a lot of that is just fanfare. He's now attempting to show. He's proud of himself that he went the distance with a very, very tough guy. He knows that the fans love him.
Well, he got through a war. He does a little dance. Scott Frank is ready to hear the decision. And they're giving it to him a little bit. They're giving it to Frank.
That wasn't very nice for Scott Frank to do. The fans are booing him because he was dirty, and he just gave him the Italian salute, which was wrong.
All right, with that, we go to Ed Darien in the ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a unanimous decision, and the scoring as follows. Judge Paul Cavalier scoring it 5-4-1. Judge Harold Letterman scoring it 7-1. And Judge Charles Spina scoring it 5-4-1. And the winner, and still undefeated,
The fans here turning on the hometown hero, Scott Frank, and it was a lot closer than we had first thought. A unanimous decision for Scott Frank.
I definitely agree with the decision. It was unanimous. It was right. The 7-2-1 might be a little too much of a spread, but Scott Frank really won this fight.
5-4-1, 7-2-1, and 5-4-1 from the three judges, and the booing continues. Scott Frank waves bye-bye. Scott from New Jersey, and he is being booed out of the ring. Boy, this is a turn of events.
Well, see, they're very, very sensitive fans here. They're good fans. He was dirty on many occasions. He could have been penalized a little more, and that's what they're down on him about, and they're right. Scott Frank has to just leave that dirty stuff out. He doesn't need it.
Well, the fans in this area, what have you done for me lately? That's the kind of thing it is in the New York, New Jersey area. It is a tough nut to crack.
Well, the fans had really a great night here of boxing, and it's nice to see as it was to repeat the opening show to be great.
One thing's for sure, Arthur Mercati, it was the most entertaining.
I tell you, it was really, as we said at the top of the show, that boxing should come back here, and the fans are excited, and the fighters were exciting. It was a great night, Steve. It was nice working with you also.
Indeed, and it's not over yet. We've got some more time. In fact, with that, we're going to throw it over to Dick Landis right now. Dick?
Okay, Steve and Arthur, thanks very much. Scott Frank still undefeated. Hey, kid, you got some booze here tonight.
Yeah, it don't matter to me. People are going to boo no matter what. They expect me to knock out everybody. I'm fighting Berbick after this. I know I had to go 10 good rounds, and that's what I did. You look at my face. It's not really marked a bruise compared to most fights. I caught everything on the gloves, heat, throw. Hey, that's all I had to do all night. And I come back, bing, 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 to clean up punches. There's no way. I mean, people are going to boo because they expect me to knock everybody out. Just watch the fight. You know what I'm saying? You see, well, always an underdog is going to, no matter what, you know, they're going to give an advantage to an underdog. Nothing wrong with that. I was the same way when I got here. No question I beat him.
Listen, though, I've seen you look better.
Yeah, well, of course I've looked better. He's a strong guy. You know, little work to, has to be done. But like I said, I was looking to go 10 good rounds, inside punching, because this is the way Burbig fights.
Let's take a look here. Give me a little play-by-play.
Yeah. Well, here, he's shelling. He's covering up all right. All right, you know what?
Listen, he was durable.
Oh,
but was he better than he looked?
What?
Was he better than he looked?
Oh, see, they're the shots I catch him with. Watch his. Look. There, look at his punches. There, bang. Look, they're good shots. None's hitting me to go. Look, on the side. One body punch, I hit him with 4. Look, jab. Hey, he's tough, but look at Bing. You know, look. He's taking the win. I took the play at him. I'll stay in the ropes and let a guy throw punches and practice defense because look at my face.
I agree. You can't knock everybody out.
Yeah.
Now, Burbig's coming up, right? Tell me about it.
Well, I got 10 good rounds here where I wanted to go, and I'll take it from there.
Okay, my friend, but I've seen you look better.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You're a tough kid, but I've seen you look better.
If I go out too hard and take them out, everybody's going to boo anyway, so I don't care. As long as I get a good workout, because I'm after one thing, to be champion of the world. And the only way to be champ is fighting guys 10 rounds. Cooney knocked everybody out, and he couldn't go to distance. I will go to distance, and this is my philosophy. Go take the film, go round by round. There's no way. I beat the man. I'm not even worried about. But like I said, let these people boo all they want. To me, it don't matter one way or another. I know I won. They're rooting for an underdog, and I'm glad for it.
I got you. Scott Frank, undefeated. We have another fight coming up. Let's go back to Steve and Arthur. Gentlemen.
All right.